All right, again, I want to thank everybody for joining us for today's presentation entitled Unleash the Power of Sample Manager 21.0. My name is Kevin Miller. It's a pleasure to host today's session, which is brought to you by Thermo Fisher Scientific and Asterix Technology. We can go to the next slide, please. Before we get into today's content, I do want to take a moment and introduce you to Asterix. If you have not been an active listener to some of our webcasts and webinars over the last year or so, we have been bringing together thought leaders from throughout the lab informatics space to produce some great webinars and content. Why are we doing this? Well, we are deeply involved in this space for over 25 years. We bring a unique breadth of highly specialized services, process, and technology, which has enabled Asterix to be a leading partner in transforming the way science-based businesses succeed. A couple of fast facts. We were founded in 1995. We are a vendor and then platform agnostic service provider with locations in the US and overseas. We have over 1,200 employees. 90% of the team members hold advanced science degrees, and our headquarters are in beautiful Red Bank, New Jersey. The companies that we help, startups through Fortune 1000, life science enterprises, chemicals, CPGs, government agencies, and research institutions. And then in terms of the services we provide, we go to the next slide, please. We support the continuum of scientific operations and data management. That means everything from strategic innovation and roadmaps and enterprise architecture. That's really kind of helping people understand what their technology stack needs to look like to bring their lab into the digital age, through data management and governance and business analysis, up through solution selection services. This is where we can help companies determine which technologies fit best in their infrastructure based on what we've learned through some of our more strategic services. From there, we can assist with development and implementation. And then after the fact, if need be, we can staff the organization with both scientific and technical expertise. So that's a little bit about Asterix. I'd like to turn our attention to our speakers for today. We can go to the next slide, please. So we're going to be joined by two great speakers. Jose Rebolo is the delivery manager at Asterix Laboratory Informatics Services. It's a group leading a team focused on SampleManager LIMS implementations. He has over 6 years of hands-on experience planning and implementing LIMS, CDS, ELN projects in a wide range of industries, from, of course, pharmaceuticals, petrochemical, and mining. George Mattis is a senior technical solutions consultant joining us from Thermo Fisher Scientific and brings over 25 years working in various capacities from services to sales. His primary emphasis has been on integration technologies and LIMS, with extensive experience in SampleManager LIMS product. His industry expertise spans a variety of industries, including pharma, food and beverage, and petrochemical. I'm definitely excited to hear you both speak. Jose, I'm going to go ahead and mute off and let you take it from here, and I'll come back on at the end.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Let's begin this conversation by talking about SampleManager XR. It was just released with SampleManager 21. It's allowed you to work hands-free using extended reality technology like the Microsoft HoloLens. Let me show you a short video that Thermo prepared for us.
Are you ready to see your lab in a new light? To see security, training, compliance, and daily tasks all at your fingertips. And yet, to leave your hands free through the power of voice and gaze commands. Are you ready to instruments? Capture your observations, document your steps, even share your all while you work. If you're ready to see your work streamlined while ensuring process compliance and data integrity, then you're ready for XR, Thermo Scientific SampleManager XR software. See it for yourself.
Let me try to go to the next slide here. There you go. All right, so we can integrate a SampleManager XR with the LES. That way you can follow your SOPs, follow instructions, look at all the hazard information. You can capture pertinent method parameters in real time. All the you can control the SampleManager XR with just I commands. So your hands are free to continue your experimentation. All right. Let's go to the next slide. Personally, I'm very excited about using SampleManager XR for my customers. All right, another of the new additions for SampleManager 21 is contract testing. It was actually released in 12.3, but it has received some improvements. With the contract testing module, you are able to manage work performed by your laboratory for external and internal customers. It comes with a customer portal that your customers will be able to access online. And this is something separate from SampleManager Web. And the customer portal only gives your customers access to the functionality that you want to give them access to, right? And they will only be able to see samples and work that for their customer, right? All right, so in the contract testing module, you can manage customers and contacts. You can assign a username and password to contacts, and that way they will be able to log into the customer portal. You can set price lists for sample workflows, test schedules, and analysis. This can be price lists for your your entire customer base, or they can be customer specific. You can create statements of work and assign all the work that needs to be performed for that SOW. And when you're ready, you can send a quote to your customer. You can manage and track all the work performed against that SOW, and your customer will be able to see all the work that has been performed and the status of the samples. When some or all of the work in the SOW has been completed, you can generate an invoice and the customer will be able to pay it. The portal can be customized to show your customer's brand or your own, and they will be able to perform several actions that you give them access to. All right. So the contract testing lifecycle starts by setting up your price list, your customer and contacts. If you want some more granularity, you can add a customer project. You can have multiple projects per customer. So once you have all that data created, you can assign it to an SOW. And in your SOW, you can list all the work that needs to be performed. When that's created, you can create a quote and send it to your customer for the review. They can either accept or reject it. And they will be able to start seeing all the work that you've done against that SOW in terms of the samples and tests performed. When you're ready, you can generate an invoice and with the customer for the review. All right, so some of the activities that you're able to perform in the customer portal are reviewing and approving quotes. You can log in samples for shipping. You can generate and print labels and reports. You can view results and COAs. And you can view all the invoices that are related to the SOW. Okay, so I would like to show you guys what the contract testing module looks like in SampleManager. So you now have this cabinet where you're able to see all the contract testing activities. At the bottom right here, I can right click and create an SOW. I can select one of my customers, and in the customer, you will have all their contact information. You have all the contacts related to that customer. You can many contacts as you want. And you can associate the templates for quotes for invoices and default price list. In the price list, you'll be able to set up prices for your different workflows. If you're familiar with SampleManager workflows and sample workflows, you know that you can assign tests inside the sample workflow, right? So this price that you see right here, the 100, is everything that's included in the workflow. So that will be one sample with a test that I just showed you. You're able to set up discounts if you want in your price list, and also you're able to assign individual analysis and schedules to the samples. So the price for the workflow will be 100, and if you want to add one analysis to it, it will be the price of the workflow 100 plus 15 for the analysis. All right. So let's exit this price list and the customer and go back to creating our SOW. Here you have all the information that we just selected, and we're able to start adding work items. So in here, I can add as many workflows as I want. Let me add 2 of them. I'll modify the quantities a bit. All right. And let's add one analysis to each item here. So this analysis will be associated with this workflow, and you'll see that the price for the workflow is 20. The price for the analysis is 10. So it's 20 plus 10, 30. And since we have a quantity of 3, the total price for this will be 90. All right. I will add another analysis to this second line item. And you can add a discount if you'd like. If you're my favorite customer, I'll give you a 15% discount. All right. So that's all that you need to set up here. Let's click on OK. And the SOW is created with a status of awaiting quote. All right. At this point, I can right click and click on quote. This will generate a report. This is the out of the box report, but we can create a custom one per customer if you would like. All right. So this will be the total price. And once I click exit the report and click yes and finalize quote, the status will change to quote created. All right. When the status changes to quote created, I can go here to the customer portal. This is what it looks like. I can log in, and you'll be able to see all the SOWs that are related to that customer. All right. So here are the custom SOWs, and here are the pending SOWs. Move this out of the way. All right. So we just created this one right here. The customer is able to click on view quote. They can see the report that we just generated, and they can either accept or reject it. All right. So I'll click on accept, and the SOW will move from pending to active, and its status will be quote accepted. Now, the status of my SOW changes here as well in SampleManager, and I'm able to start logging in samples against that SOW. All right. So you're able to create a new job to hold these samples or use an existing one. For this example, I will just create the samples without a job. It defaults to all the samples in the SOW so it would be 3 for item 1 and 2 for item 2. You can create these buttons to go back to 0 or go back to the maximum. I'll just leave this as it is, and it will create the samples that I want. We have 3 for item 1 and 2 for item 2. I'll click OK. So if I go back to all the samples, I will proceed to complete them and authorize them. In order to be able to add the samples to an invoice, you'll need to have your samples authorized. All right. So here we go. This is a new addition to SampleManager 21. It's an sample authorization, sample review screen. I think it looks really nice compared to what we had before. So I'll check that everything's all right and click on authorize to authorize all samples. All right, so now that the samples have been authorized, I can generate an invoice for the SOW. In my invoice items, it will check the criteria that I set for the invoice, and it will find samples, other samples that meet the criteria for the item. So they have to have this workflow plus this analysis in order to be included. All right, so since we already created all the samples required for this SOW, I can just click OK. It will create this invoice right here. It starts with a status of being written. So this will not show up in the customer portal until you click on generate invoice. It would generate this report. You see that it has the samples associated with it along with the barcode. This is another report that can be customized, of course, to meet your needs. Let's click on just here to finalize the invoice, and the status would be changed to prepared. Once it's in this status, I can click here and view invoice. Your customer will be able to see the invoice in the from the portal. At this point, you can say that the invoice has been delivered, and when the customer has paid the invoice, you can change the status to paid, and that will finalize the life cycle of your invoice. So since all work has been completed for the SOW, I can come here and complete the SOW as well. So that's the workflow for an SOW. But let me show you a little bit more of what's available in the customer portal. So from the customer portal, you're also able to check the status of the SOW. So you can click here. This is one that I created previously. I can click on view work items, and it will show me all the samples that were logged against this item 1 and all the samples that were logged from item 2. So this is actually all the you got all the ones for item 1 and from item 2. So if I click on one of these samples, these options will become available. You can display sample and see all the tests assigned to it and sample information. The information that you see here will change depending on the entity template on the sample. So you can customize this as well. You can also generate a label if you want to generate a label before sending it. So here we go. You get the sample. The sample that you assign can also be changed. All right. And another function that was added to the customer portal is the ability to log in samples. You can choose a sample workflow login and log your sample right here. So I will just choose one of these two to show you and click on execute workflow. it will prompt you to enter all these values for the sample. And we may have lost connection with the server. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me? All right, thank you. Well, that was good timing because that was the last thing I wanted to show you in the portal. But yeah, so George, I'll hand it to you so you can talk about the ELN.
All right. Thank you very much, Jose, and thanks everybody for joining us today. So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about, so what I'm going to do for the next couple minutes is talk a little bit about the Analyst Notebook. So as Jose mentioned with the contract module, the Laboratory Notebook is also something that was originally introduced in SampleManager in version 12.3 in 2020 and was updated for this last version, version 21, which came out, I believe, last November. So the idea behind the notebook was, with a lot of our customers, you know, SampleManager does a great job in terms of handling structured analytical data, and the growing need that we've seen from our customer base has been to manage unstructured data. And so to that end, we've had a number of customers that have existing ELNs, but a number of our customers also want just a platform that doesn't require a full laboratory notebook, or having to go to a third-party source, but they wanted the functionality to be able to do a lot of the capabilities within electronic lab notebook. So what we did in version 12.3 is we introduced the Analyst Notebook, which allows us really to kind of address that need to be able to kind of collate unstructured data from within the LIMS. So Jose, if you go to the next slide, please. So the point of the Laboratory Notebook was to be able to support unstructured data within the LIMS. So what's really nice with this, and we'll talk about it as we go through this over the next few minutes, is that allows us to, within the framework of the LIMS, to be able to reference and use a lot of the capabilities within SampleManager itself, while also being able to, store and manage my unstructured data. So here you have the ability to store unstructured data. One of the things that's also been introduced in version 21 is the ability to manage things like molecular structures. In addition, analysts can store and easily search for the data within the LIMS. So what's nice is I can go in and bring in a PDF, or I can bring in a Word document, and then I can also be able to, through the notebook capability, be able to go in and be able to search all notebook pages that contain a specific, a specific bit of text, which could be part of a PDF. Again, it has to be a searchable PDF, or within a document, along with free text and other capabilities. Jose, if you go to the next slide, please. So in terms of what features are part of the Laboratory Notebook, first of all, we have various page types. And so within the current version that we have essentially 3 different types. You have rich text. And so the rich text can either be documents that you generate within a notebook page, again, using a rich text format. Or the other thing you can also do is you can import, rich documents like Word and things of that nature. In addition, you also have the same capability around the spreadsheet. So you have the ability to, again, import spreadsheet data, or you can create your own spreadsheet pages using a lot of the same capabilities that you would see in an Excel type thing. And in addition, you can also go in and generate PDFs. So Then there's also the idea of templates. And so this allows us to create pages based on predefined templates. So again, going back to the Microsoft analogy, where you have different types of Word templates, Excel templates, you can also do the same thing within SampleManager through the notebook. Here you can create template foundations from which you can use in order to kind of build as a basis for a page, and then go in, create things like hyperlinks, things of that nature, to be able to access the data from within each of the pages. One of the key areas that was introduced in version 21 that wasn't in the original version was the ability to search data. So this has really got kind of two capabilities, right? So first of all, there's the data itself, which again, we said within a Word document or as a cell within a spreadsheet or within a PDF, you can go out and do a search of data within any of those documents within a particular page. The other thing that's also nice is you have the ability to link different entities within a particular page. So if I have a sample or an instrument or a molecule, and I want to be able to go into that sample and say, okay, show me all pages that have a particular, that are linked, that have a particular notebook page, you can do that through the search capability. As we also mentioned, in version 21, we introduced molecular structures. Here we can not only define structures, but we can also embed them into pages, and also, again, have references for that. And then there's also cross-page reviews. So as Jose showed, we've enhanced a lot of our review capabilities within version 21. We've also included within, and again, this is a part of the 21, is to be able to do a cross-check page review. And also not only be able to review pages, but you can also lock pages, all right, based on security role capability. And then you can also, as part of the notebook, you have a log history that allows you to go and see all changes within a particular notebook. So, go to the page, Jose. So, to show you a little bit about what the notebook looks like, here's an example. So, from within SampleManager, the notebook's really broken into a couple parts. First of all, you have the main kind of interface, which is the notebook itself. So if we look over here at the top, here's our analyst notebook. In terms of the naming of the notebook, it uses syntaxes just like samples and most of the work you create within SampleManager. So again, using the common syntax that you're currently using for other things, you have the ability to create the notebook using whatever heading it is that you want. Once you're in the notebook, you can create different pages. And so within the toolbar here, you have the ability to create pages either from a template, right, which are the 3 buttons here, or on the left side here, you can create free pages, you know, again, with no context in them. Then within each of the notebooks, you have the various different pages in here. So as we could see here, we have 3 different types of pages. And then once we create a page, we have the page context to the right of this. As we move over, you can see up at the top here, we have the ability to import data. So here again, if I wanted to create a rich text page and bring in a Word document, I can go in and again, create a rich text and then be able to bring in a document. If I have a template, I can create say a spreadsheet or a rich text from that template that will already have a pre-existing format. And then from there, I can go up and enhance that page and edit it to what I need. In addition, you can also see up here in the right-hand corner, the ability to link entities. And this is very key. And this is where our customers really have embraced the notebook capability within SampleManager. Because what it allows them to do is not only manage that unstructured data, it also allows them to very easily bring that data into the Sample Manager framework, right? So here we can bring in different samples, we can bring in instruments, and again, from that instrument or from that sample, I can actually right-click on that and then be able to see all the pages from all the various notebooks that have reference to that. And then finally, what you see down here is the notebook information itself. This allows you to see, again, going back to the standard Sample Manager, who created it, when they created it, really all the, the typical metric information that comes with any Sample Manager record. You also have the ability to manage in terms of saving the notebook or closing the notebook or simply just exiting. So if we go to the next page. So walking through each of the various page types, right? The first one we have is the rich text. And so this allows us to include formatted text. If again, you picture from a Word standpoint, you have a lot of the same similar capabilities that you would have, say, in a Word. So if I want to include pictures, if I want to include tables, formatted text, I have the ability to do that. What we can also do is cut and paste into this. You can add different symbols, you can do hyperlinks. So, and again, you have the ability to create this new as selecting just the rich text option, or you can have a pre-existing template. And then, so say I have a particular, say I'm running an experiment and I have a pre-existing page in terms of what are the prerequisites for this particular experiment. I could have that all in a template. Then I can go in and put in, okay, what are my materials? What's my hypothesis, right? What's my objective? So let's go on to the next page. So the next one in the list is a spreadsheet page. And this really allows us to bring a lot of information together. Because, typically one of the things that we see with our existing customer base is they're currently doing a lot of work within Excel spreadsheets, right, in terms of formulas, calculations, and then, they're forced to transpose that data back into the LIMS or use the integration within, say, Integration Manager or within Sample Manager to bring that data from the spreadsheet, that final data back into the LIMS for analytical results. With the spreadsheet capability that's within the notebook, we now have the ability to use that capability of say, an Excel spreadsheet, right? But you also have the ability to tie that data, and we'll get into this in the next couple minutes, about being able to take that data and then be able to upload results into Sample Manager. So here, again, you can use an existing template out of Excel, or you can create a fresh page. And similar again to Excel, you have a lot of those capabilities within each of the pages. So the ability to generate charts, the ability to manage things like formulas, again, very similar to how you would do it in Excel. Those capabilities all exist within the notebook. And then, as we said, you also have the ability, we'll get into it a little bit later, to feed data in using the integration tools within Sample Manager, or export data out to, say, a specific result within Sample Manager. Jose, let's go to the next page. All right, and then finally we have the PDF page. So here we have the ability to be able to take PDF documents, and as long as they're searchable PDFs, again, what we can do is we can actually do searches of those. And again, similar to how we have attachments with, say, samples, this is another mechanism from an unstructured data format where we can actually, within the notebook, put together our PDF information, say things like SOPs, protocols, things of that nature, say for a particular experiment, and then relate those. Again, as you can see here on the right side, with our linked entity, we can relate those to a particular sample, a job, whatever you may have. Okay, let's go on to the next page. All right, and so, part of version 21 was the ability to include the ability to manage molecular structures. So we've done it in the past. It's usually been part of a service engagement. Here we've actually gone in and included that as part of the core capability. So with this, we can take a molecule can be defined using like the SMILE structure. So we can actually load those files, you know, whether it's a mol file, SDF file, and it will generate our structure diagram, as you can see here on the left. So here we can actually import the data, and those structures can actually be included within the pages within the notebook itself. So here you have the capability to use the linkage to be able to actually tie in the actual molecule, and then within the document itself, you can go in and be able to include that within your final documents or your structured documents. Okay, next page, please. Okay, and so as we talked about earlier, one of the things that really, you know, enhances or makes it extremely useful of having the notebook within the LIMS is really two main things that really kind of bring it all together. And the first one is that we can link entities into that. So here you see, as we showed before, on the page, you can actually link an item. So that can be out of the box. These are the various items you can see here, from sample to analysis to plate to instrument, right? Instrument parts, batches, jobs, and molecules. You can also go in and add in additional entities if you choose, right? So say I want to link in, say, stock batches or things like that. You can also tie all that in. And what's really nice here is from each of those records, if I click on my sample or if I click on my instrument, I could actually go up and say, show me all pages from all notebooks where there's a reference to this particular sample or instrument. Next page, please. And then, so as we can see down here, right, you can go in and you could show, users can see which entities are linked to a notebook page, right? So we can actually, from within the sample link itself, you can actually go in and see down here that there's a new field within the sample record, right, that says has notebook link. Again, for you folks that have used SampleManager and used attachments, right, there's a similar field that says has attachment. Again, we also have one for the notebook link. But again, the thing here is you can have a sample linked to multiple pages, right, within different notebooks. All right, and so let's go to the next page. Okay, so one of the big things that was introduced in the version 21. So in version 12.3, we had the ability to be able to link an entity or search for an entity. So as we said, within a page, within a notebook, you can go in and link an entity. In version 21, we extended that to have free text search. So here, within a particular entity record, I can click on, say, an instrument, right? And so this is just to kind of show the enhancement in terms of any of the entities that we showed before. Whenever you have an entity link, right, or have that as an entity that's linkable to a page, what will happen is within that entity, you'll then have an option to locate a notebook. And so here you can just right button click on that. What that's then going to do is, as an example we see here, is for instrument VMO1. This will show you pages that have reference to that, right, that have that entity link capability. And then once you have those, what's nice is you can simply click on the page, open that page, that will open that notebook with that particular page. And depending on what your security is, you'll either have the ability to do an edit, a search, or a display, or if it's locked and you can't look at it, it'll tell you that you don't have that capability also. Next slide, please. And so, as we said, in version 21, what we did is we introduced the ability to do a full text search. So here, as we stated earlier, based on whether or not you have a full text, right, in terms of, you know, it's a document that has multiple references. Here, we're looking for the word protein, right? As we go through this will show you that within a particular page, right, called covering notes, it'll show you all the references within that document to whatever the search is. And so, as we can see different notebooks. In each of the notebooks, we can see the various pages. And from there, you know, we can go up and drill into any one of those pages to see, you know, see a particular reference. So now if you start getting into, you know, I want to go back in and see all the experiments that I did for a particular compound, I can go in, type in that compound. It will show me every experiment or / notebook with every page reference in that. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. And then, as we talked about before, once you have your notebook, you then have the ability to be able to both lock and also to review the pages within that. So here, the page checking settings on the notebook determines the mode that the user to review and lock pages. So in version 21, we introduced the capability to allow pages to be unlocked once they've been locked. So again, and that can only be done by, you know, the person or the role that locks it. So again, similar to what we do with a lot of the sign-offs already in SampleManager, things like the inspection plans, right? That could be a role or user. You have that same capability here. And then if we go on to the next page. So all of this, every time we make a change, right, say we unlock, all of it is recorded in the notebook log. So only users with the correct can access the log. Again, any changes are recorded within that log, and details of which cell and all that are also included within that. So, and then as with anything else, you know, you have the ability to go out if you choose to be able to, you know, like with the audit trail, you can go out and generate reports against this if you choose. And next slide. And so one of the things that we introduced in 21, which really enhances the capability of what we currently have, right, is we talked about up front that one of the key aspects of tying SampleManager and having the notebook within the SampleManager framework was the ability to be able to link entities, right, and then be able to go out and from a particular entity, such as a sample or an instrument, be able to drill in pages. In addition, what we introduced in 21 is the ability to actually read data, use the integration capability that's now part of SampleManager, that's kind of been coming into SampleManager over the last few versions, starting with 12.2 with the SDMS, right? And then in 12.3, we introduced, you know, the ability to do some of the integration. And, you know, with version 21, we now have a sweeper. And as all part of that, we can tie that in kind of similar to what we do at laboratory execution, if you're familiar with that, is being able to, from within a page, populate a spreadsheet. And here you can see that we can actually go up and create integration templates, right, which we can then link particular cells or ranges within a page. So here I could go up, take data from a spreadsheet or from an instrument, populate my page, and then if we go on to the next page, right, what we can then do here is, as an example, within that source, we can then see one of the options we talked about before, the characteristics of created on, created by, and those things. But you also have, for an Excel page, we have what we call a data reader and a descriptor. So the data reader allows us to be able to click on, say, a particular cell or within a page and be able to go out and read data from a particular, say an instrument or a particular file. Again, using our standard integration capability. And then if we go on to the next page, right, we can address based on a cell address. You can also go in and create headers here. So what this means, cell to the left equals, is you can go up here and say, rather than say it's going to be on C10, right, what I want to do is cell to the right of the weight. What I want to be do is go through the spreadsheet for a particular tag. Say you were wanting to populate with, say, different analytes or compounds. You can put the analytes here, and then it would populate as it found those values, right? And then you can also define what we call name cells. And then like a focus cell would be, I'm going to click on a cell, press the read button, and have it populate that way. So that would be similar to, say, going into SampleManager, doing an instrument read from a result entry, right, and having it populate that cell. Okay, let's go on to the next. And then from the last part here is once the data is uploaded, right, what we can do is we have what we call a transcriptor. So not only can I be able to read the data from an external source and bring it into my page, but I can also take cells from within my page and then be able to populate those into samples and results. So as an example, right, if we go on to the next. Here we have a cell with different values, right, A through D. Here we click on, we generate an average. And so what we've done is, for that linked sample that we see here on the right, what we're going to do is we're going to post that average value as comp1, right? And so we define that in the transcriptor, and then it's going to write that average over to that sample. So again, not only do we have the ability to read data in externally, but also post data from within the page. And then if we go on to the next, here you can see in the result entry that value 3.5 being posted. And then let's go on to the next page here. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jose, and he'll talk about just a couple of the other new features that are also in 21.
Thank you, George. The notebook is also something that I'm excited for. All right, so some of the new features in SampleManager 21 are the data analytics solution. You'll be able to use the TR programming language to create statistical scripts. You will also be able to use machine learning to make predictions for your lab. This data analytics solution is separate, but it needs SampleManager 21 to be used. You can have the enhanced dynamic data approval. That's the screen I showed you before, and George also mentioned it earlier. You can use automatic resource translation. So you can use a tool like Google Translate to translate your forms and your limbs to the different languages with much more ease than you had before. And of course, we had the notebook and customer portal improvements that we've discussed. In terms of architecture, a single sign-on and multi-factor authentication have been added to SampleManager. and also improved cloud services like the ability to use process-grade SQL in SampleManager. All right. You are also able to use AWS S3 storage. Along with SampleManager 21, we also have a lot of bug fixes, 199 in version 21. And they're having enhancements to the web client and LES. We also have the instrument super that George mentioned. So this is a service that checks for files and that were created in a particular folder, and it will load that data automatically depending on the settings that you provide. So I think that we can turn it over to Kevin now, so we can have enough time for questions.
Yeah, Jose, thank you very much, and George as well. Thank you for a great presentation. We're going to go ahead and get the recording stopped.